Hi, everybody, and welcome to one of the last sets of presentations for the day. Thank you for joining me. My name is Sarah Harmon. I am adjunct faculty of Spanish and Linguistics at Cañada College. Yes, that is a little delay over that N. We are not Canada College. We are Cañada College, which is in the San Francisco Bay Area in California. I'm adjunct faculty in Spanish and Linguistics, but I also serve another role as the OER and ZTC coordinator. And more on that in a little bit, as well as that other role, which is a liaison to the State Academic Senate for California Community Colleges and its OER initiative. I will talk more about that soon enough. Now, before we get started, let me tell you a little bit. What I am going to talk about here is just our progress. In fact, in many ways, what this is a type of program review for the ZTC program as we have had it since its initiation. I'm not going to sit here and say we have figured everything out. Far from it. We have a lot of growth still to come. But my hope is that by kind of seeing what we have gone through over the last few years, this might give folks some things to think about, hopefully avoid some of the pitfalls that we encountered, and certainly the sharing of ideas, because as I said, we're still looking for some answers ourselves. So really quickly, this is basically what I'll cover. Again, the slide deck is available on the platform, and I suggest downloading it because there's many of these slides I'm going to skip through fairly quickly, but they have quite a bit of data, and so that may be something you want for your own edification or to bring back to your own institutions. Really quickly, and I'm going to also put this information in the chat, I would love for you to take a really quick set of polls. It's really, oops, that's not what I wanted. That's hilarious. I was doing some other work. Let me try that again. So this is a 3-question poll that it's not gonna let me do it. Okay. So if you click on menti.com and enter the code 5233-7891. There are 3 questions that hopefully at the end of this presentation, I'll have time to go through. And they're just really quick check-ins. So let's get started as far as a little bit of origin story in case you've never heard of Cañada College or the work that has been happening at a number of community colleges in the San Francisco or in California. Let me go back. Sorry, I saw that question really quickly. The code is 5233-7891. There you go. All right. So our origin story really quickly. Before January 2019, no work had happened at all in any formal way at Cañada College with respect to OER, ZTC, any of it. And that is not uncommon. And it really wasn't until the State Academic Senate and their Open Educational Resources Initiative, OERI, was formed and started asking academic senates at all the 116 California community colleges to start identifying a liaison. And that liaison, me, was selected in January 2019. We were lucky in that we are in a 3-college district, and one of our sister colleges, Skyline College, which is in San Bruno, they had already started this work a few years prior. They had gotten one of the early grants from the state chancellor's office, and they had already started this work. So Cañada, we just went over to our sister college, said, hey, what is working? What should we avoid? And built our pattern accordingly. We started off having an OER ZTC coordinator position, a faculty position, that first spring that really started fall 2020. Originally, it was funded at 0.2 FTE or 20% release time. And through some extra funding from our district in fall 2022, that got bumped up to 0.5 FTE or 50% release time. And if somebody takes this position as an adjunct faculty member like myself, it is a non-instructional assignment and not tied to my teaching load. So in theory, I could teach my normal max load if I wanted to, which would be up to 10 units a semester, and then do the coordination position. I don't, and I'll go to that in another time. I was able to start an official subcommittee of the Academic Senate, specifically focusing on textbook affordability. In fall 2021, the regional leaders of open education, which is part of OE Global, announced their first cohort for their program. And myself and one of my librarians who does this work with me, we participated in those seminars. We came out with a strategic plan that we turned into an implementation plan that mirrors our educational master plan. So you can see various layers and connections to participatory governance and to strategic planning as a whole. This is, I would argue, very crucial because at this point, it means the administration cannot ignore us. They have to include OER ZTC in the plans. So we started tracking fall 2020 with one course officially. And laughing because it sounds like that's not much, but realistically from that it showed us gaps in reporting and collecting data and where we needed to go to get the word out about how to submit these data points. So realistically starting spring 2021 is when our good data, massive air quotes, starts. And right soon after that, we came to a district-wide definition for both zero cost and low cost. Low cost for us is $40 or less. All the materials for a given course being $40 or less, brand new at our bookstore. We are lucky in the sense that our community college district has an independent bookstore. It is not tied to any other corporation. So that gives us a little bit more flexibility as well. So when I report these data, note that mostly I'm starting from spring 2021 and that the definitions for zero cost and low cost are static. They're the same for that entire period. And I ran the data for these presentations go through fall 2023, although I do have some notes with respect to spring 2023 and in a larger sense, fall 2020. Spring 2024 and fall 2024. So if I had to sum it up, the TLDR is this, that by the end of spring 2024, we had over 19,000 duplicated students who have been taking either zero cost or low cost courses since spring 2021. We have an estimated savings since of that time at the 1.8 million. And this fall, we will officially cross that 2 million mark, by the way. And that is estimated with zero cost courses having an estimated savings of $100 and low cost courses have an estimated savings of $50. Spring 2024, we had 150 sections of 88 courses be zero cost, 16 sections of 14 courses being low cost, and 37% of our faculty who were participating in either zero cost or low cost courses. They were teaching them. By the way, just to give you a little bit of a concept of that, the spring 2024, the unique census head count, so the unique number of students that we had for our students that semester was 6,700 students. That's quite a few. And while I haven't finished running this fall data yet, because we still have some late start courses that haven't actually started yet, we have currently 5,200 duplicated students and just shy of $500,000 in estimated savings just for this semester. So how did we get there? How did we do this? Well, a lot of it was connecting with our students, figuring out their needs. As I said, that first semester or fall 2020, when we first started out, there were a number of things that we figured out we needed to know. And so we started doing informal surveys, but our big formal survey was fall 2022, where we surveyed our zero cost and low cost courses and the students in there. And we got some pretty important information. We wanted to know what device they use. Not surprisingly, it's a laptop or their smartphone. I mean, that's pretty standard. When we wanted to know about note taking, and especially because a number of community college faculty will require some kind of note taking reporting of some flavor in their courses. So we wanted to ask our students, what are they being asked to do? It was really interesting. There were times that the information the students gave in the other categories didn't quite match up because they should have selected something else. So for example, when we asked, what methods do you use to show that you interact with your course materials? We got a number, pretty much everybody said Canvas or some other app, but 40%, we had 40% who said other, but most of those others, most of those who clicked other, they said that they put something into Canvas. So basically that 54% for Canvas should be actually closer to 60 to 65. We asked if in fall 2022, were they expecting to take more zero cost and low cost courses in 2023? Overwhelmingly, the answer was yes. And we asked, well, why? And as you can see, the biggest reasons were financial. This isn't a shock to those of us that have been in this sphere for a while, but it really is important to get those data points, to get the student voice in there somehow. And in fact, that is what we saw, that yes, while we had more sections available, the number of students that signed up for those courses increased significantly from fall 2022 to spring 2023 to fall 2023. And I'm not including our summer numbers, but summer was also very well represented in zero cost and low cost courses. We asked whether they would recommend the ZTC or LTC courses to other students. Overwhelmingly, the answer was yes. And again, financial reasons were the big reason. Not surprising. Well, after we did that survey, we really had a couple of important questions. What enrollment trends are there, if any? What are success and retention data for these courses? And if we can see any trends starting from spring 2021 through fall 2023. And a major, major shout out to our Planning, Research, and Institutional Effectiveness Office, or PRE is the acronym that we use. Our PRE office not only started doing this work for us, but they initiated the same kinds of questions for our other two sister colleges in the district. And that was really interesting. And I'll show you why in a second. So when it comes to enrollment trends, what did we learn? Well, we learned that our students, by and large, are trying to sign up for courses about 30 to 60 days and then 60 to 90 days before the start of the term. That roughly equates to about a month or two, which is also when the public schedule comes out, and therefore they're able to see what courses they have. There is a slight improvement in both of those areas, but realistically, there's little statistical difference from a zero textbook or low textbook course being marked versus not. I will say, though, that there's some more interesting comments behind that. Well, because we asked this question, our district created a ZTC dashboard. It is built on Tableau, and some of you may know Tableau. It's a very powerful analytics tool. In the link, all the links in the slide presentation should be active. So this is a dashboard that you can see. You can pull out just Cañada, or you can look at any of our sister colleges or the district as a whole. It does start from summer 2020. That's mostly because of our sister college, Skyline College, and they were able to start reporting pretty early on that. So ignore the College of San Mateo and Cañada data for summer 2020. That is not very good. It also includes, so it's including information based on instructional division, on course subject, and it has disaggregated data on the student demographics, which was really important for us. We wanted to understand what was happening. So we said, okay, enrollment rate's about the same, but one of the factors that we noticed that was not showing up in the data was it really depended on when the faculty were reporting their textbook adoptions. Obviously, the earlier they could do it, the quicker we could get it marked in our online schedule, but that varied so wildly, and that was a gap that we knew we needed to address. And we started noticing that if we connected that early reporting to equity and saying, if you don't tell us we can't mark this and our students need to know this information for equity reasons, we're gonna see better results as a result. So I'll come back to that. So let's talk about success and retention. What did we see? Well, I want to start off with our disproportionate impact data dashboard, which is something that at Cañada has been around for a number of years. It is tweaked every year. Because this presentation is based off of data that is through fall 2023, I wanted to focus on specifically the areas that were DI disproportionately impact. So we were looking at Black non-Hispanic students, Hispanic students, Pacific Islander students, but more specifically Filipinx students, Filipino, Filipina, Filipinx. And those were the areas that were of particular disproportionate impact. And you can see in parentheses the number of students that they represent at Cañada. And remember, for this fall, we have about 6,500 students. Well, we looked at retention. And one of the things that we found was that essentially there's a little bit of statistical improvement for Black non-Hispanic students, similar rates for Hispanic and Filipinic students, but basically similar rates between zero-cost, low-cost courses and all other courses. Same thing with success and ethnicity, or success by ethnicity as well, where again, our disproportionately impacted student groups, there is a slight statistical improvement, especially for Black non-Hispanic students, although we are not quite sure why there's marginally, but still less success with Pacific Islander non-Filipino students or Filipinic students. We're not quite sure why. That's something we're starting to investigate. Everywhere else, it's identical practically, or within statistical realm of similarity. Retention and success by gender, statistically similar. By income, statistically similar. Are you getting a pattern here? First generation students, statistically similar. Promise Scholar Program, and for those that don't know, in California and I think a few other states, there are programs, something like often called Promise Scholar Program, and it's a way to get students who are financially or socioeconomically impacted to get them in and get them supported. And so they usually have some kind of textbook voucher that they're given. Well, we looked at those specific students. Again, zero cost and low cost courses have been statistically similar with respect to retention and success consistently over and over again. And that led us to think, okay, that means that these courses, at least they're not harming, and in certain areas, they're in fact helping, that our students who need some of this help the most, they're getting it. So where do we go from here? Which is a bit of a play on the slogan or marketing tagline for Cañada College, which is from here you can go anywhere. And so I figured I'd play on that a little bit. Well, let's start off with talking enrollment. We immediately saw that we needed to improve faculty textbook adoption submissions, and specifically the timeliness of them. While there are official due dates for those textbook adoptions, that they have to go into the bookstore by a certain date, it doesn't always get done. And as we are starting to migrate over to Banner 9, I'm sure some of you are wondering, wow, you haven't migrated yet over to Banner 9? Yes, we know we're behind, and that's another topic. But we definitely need to tighten up that reporting. And in fact, for spring 2025, we already had a higher, I was just talking to my bookstore manager, we had a higher percentage of faculty who submitted their textbook adoptions on time this year than we have in over 20 years. So that's pretty significant. The more we talked about connecting that to equity, the greater the response. And that really comes down to me in particular going out to the division and department meetings, this coming up at new employee orientation. We've started increasing awareness both on faculty, on staff, on students. This is a flyer that one of my student assistants from last year created. That QR code, by the way, goes to our ZTC website, which has currently basic information, but in a couple weeks, we'll start having videos from that my current student assistant is putting together, she's putting together the final touches on them right now. We're going to have tabling and just general outreach. We are addressing success and retention by closing the digital gaps. We do have a laptop and hotspot program, lending program through our library. We're including in updating that and improving that. We also are having more workshops, just-in-time workshops for students to get them more acclimated to their digital materials and note-taking, and specifically working with Umoja, or Puente, or any of our other learning communities. We're really wanting to address the broader effects of teaching and pedagogy, andragogy, with respect to the use of OER, to the use of low-cost and zero-cost materials as a whole. So having more workshops, addressing digital natives where they are, and that's really, really important. And I think there's been a number of presentations already that have talked about that. And again, professional development. We have a presentation called How Not to Be an Accidental Pirate that we send out to our faculty. We routinely do this every semester. Maybe we start addressing our staff and our students as well with this, and connecting with our equity and anti-racism planning committee, who have been doing so much of this work and are amazing at it. Potential lessons from other colleges as well. You can see them there. Really, it comes down to support. You need to support this work as much as you can. So thank you to everybody who has helped with these data, whether it's giving me the data, reporting elements back, sending surveys out to students, those who have gone through our ZTC adopter program. And thank you for listening. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints? Hi, Heather.
Hi there. Yeah, I have a question. We've been trying to do something like this with a reporting system, and one of the problems we ran into was apparently department heads concerned that it would create animosity between faculty members because, well, students are taking your class and I shouldn't have to change my textbook, and you're making it look like I'm a bad teacher by not listing my course in that. So have you had any issues with that? And if so, how have you dealt with it?
I think it's a really important question, Heather, and I can't say that you're the only one. And yes, we initially, especially as we started this work, we had that and or some version of, well, the text I use from the publisher is excellent and it has all the information, and why should I move? It's usually one or the other, or a combination of both.
Uh-huh.
Um, and when we responded with, okay, understand that you're not comfortable moving at this point, why don't you talk to your students? And if you want me to run the survey, or you want our research office to run a survey, and so that your hands are not on the survey at all, let's see what your students think. And in some cases, that got them to start rethinking what they're using.
Mm.
In some cases, they didn't, and they're fully entrenched into their publisher material. And I'm not going to, if the door to my party is open, if you want to join us, great, but I'm not going to pull you in necessarily, just against your will. And as more and more of faculty are moving towards this, there are others who were more firmly entrenched, who are now starting to rethink some things. So I think there's going to always be those folks. I think it's just a general, have an open conversation.
Can you share the survey?
I can, yeah. In fact, I think in the slide deck you have, well, at least you have my email address. I can certainly share the exact questions through there. And in the slide deck, you also have a link to the full presentation slide deck of our fall 2022 student survey, which also helped quite a bit in changing some, or getting people to rethink some things.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Haley, your comment is really important. In California, there is a state there, I forget if it's a Senate bill or an assembly bill, but it's one of them that requires transparency of course material costs. So that's been part of our campaign as we work with faculty in particular who are more reticent to give that information very quickly. We say, well, here's the thing, by law you have to. So you kind of have to tell us so that A, the bookstore can get prepared. B, if you are using zero cost materials, we can get that marked, or even low cost materials. So every state's going to be a little bit different. Every entity is going to be a little bit different, but definitely, yeah, the more you can create that dialogue of this is transparency. We need to do something. It helps.